Hello and welcome to Thursday Zoom. I hope you're all doing well. Today is our last day in Module 157. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because you guys know I love making my little slideshows so I can keep up where I am. So let me share my screen. So today is day 20 of 20. It's the last day of Module 157. All assignments are due by Sunday at 11:55 p.m. If you have any requests for something to be reopened, it must be into me by 4 o'clock tomorrow or it's going to be a no-go. New students, you are just doing your assignment that I sent you on your little week at a glance. You don't have to worry about getting in and doing anything in 157. We got it covered. So tomorrow, when you get in your Genza bar, you're going to look under your course work or your course assignments or your courses. I don't remember how it's labeled for you guys. And you're going to look for module 158. So in module 158, this little green book here, that's what your book looks like. We're going to be doing chapter 22, which is the last chapter of the book. Yes, I know it's backwards, but we're just dealing with it. My sensibilities hurt when I have to go to the back of the book too, but we're just going to go with it. It's chapter 22. It's skills and strategies. It starts on page 484. This module is only 5 days. It's our shortest module of any module we do. What are you going to need in this module? You will need a resume. That's going to be an exam grade. You're going to need a do's and don'ts of professionalism project. Now, what does that mean? Well, you can make a storyboard if you want to and take a picture of it and upload it where you're supposed to. You can make a PowerPoint slide. Listen, I'm not asking for 50 slides, but I don't want 3. Do a little bit of research on what employers find to be professional in 2023. Things have changed so much. I remember a time when we would go to a place and get a paper application and fill it out on the little clipboard and turn it back in. You guys probably don't remember that. Now you do everything online, and a lot of time the very first interview is a phone interview, and then sometimes it's a Zoom interview. So it just really depends. So your do's and don'ts of professionalism, it's just a little project. It is an exam grade, so it's going to be 40% of your overall grade. I just want you to put some effort into it, but it should be fun. All right, so what are we going to talk about beyond our new module coming up tomorrow? We're going to talk about consent. We're going to talk about implied consent, and we're going to talk about expressed consent. So implied means that you're kind of assuming something. I'm going to read the actual definition. Implied consent is the assumption that a person is given permission for an action, which is inferred from his or her actions rather than expressly or explicitly provided. So when you imply something, you don't necessarily say it directly. I may be implying that I don't like your shirt, but I may not come right out and say it. So remember, implied is an assumption brought on by what the patient's doing. Their actions are inferring that you're giving consent. So the next kind of consent that we're going to talk about is expressed. So express consent is the consent given directly, either verbally or in writing. So I say, Sean, you can skip the test today. I'm expressly telling you. I'm not implying it. There's no test today, by the way, but I'm just giving an example. Okay, so we're going to watch just a quick little video on informed consent, expressed versus implied.
As a registered dietitian, you have a legal and professional requirement to obtain informed consent for a client's nutrition assessment and treatment. Informed consent involves having a conversation with your client or their substitute decision maker. The conversation may include information about the overall nature of the assessment, treatment, benefits and risks, and options for alternative interventions. You also need to provide an opportunity to ask questions and have them answered, and you need to be confident that your client has understood all of the information. Let's call this the consent discussion. Informed consent can be express or implied. Express consent can be oral or written. In these cases, you have the consent discussion with your client and they consent by giving you a yes, I agree, or I consent response. That's oral express consent. If you provide your client with a consent form to review and sign, that's written express consent. But what about implied consent? Let's say you have the consent discussion with your client. Then, during a nutrition assessment, the client extends their finger when you bring out the glucometer, or they step on the scale when you ask to take their weight. This is implied consent. Although your client hasn't said, I consent, or signed a consent form, they have clearly demonstrated through their responses and actions that they consent. When should you rely on express versus implied consent? It may depend on how your client responds in a particular situation. You should also exercise professional judgment and consider organizational policies, the degree of risk to clients, and the nature and extent of the treatment. Express versus implied consent is simply about how your client communicates their consent. Regardless of how consent is communicated, it must be voluntary and informed. Consent is all about respecting your client's right to make informed decisions about their health. Clients should always understand what will be done to them. Wouldn't you want the same opportunity? For more information, visit collegeofdietitians.org.
So did that give you a really good view of what implied and express consent is? Like, would you have ever thought that whenever a patient gives their finger to have their blood sugar checked, that is not expressed, that's implied. They're implying that it's okay. When you get on a scale, it kind of gives you a different way to think about things. And this is just some food for thought. Can you think of a time when you gave implied consent and when you gave express consent? Stop and think about when you've gone to the doctor. Or whenever, maybe at an attorney's office, anything. Give me an example. Who would like to give me an example of when you can remember giving implied consent? Okay, go ahead, Connor.
I guess, yes. I guess that would be whenever I go to the doctor and I get on the scale for them as well, or they just go and check my blood pressure. I just put my arm out.
Exactly.
Without speaking.
Right. Have you ever thought about that being implied consent before? I never thought about it that way either. That's why I chose this video. I thought, wow, that really gives me a different way of looking at implied consent. And then I can think of a way that that I have done express consent. I had my thyroid removed and I had to sign all the paperwork saying that I consent to the anesthesia, the surgery, I consent to paying the bill. I consent to having my claim sent to insurance. So all of those are very, very clearly expressed that I'm giving those permissions. So do you guys have any questions about that? No? All right. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go over some health insurance terms. Now, you guys haven't been here for this, but we're going to talk about it. It's just a review. Terms are very, very important. So please know that these are important terms and it won't be the only time we go over them. But when I go over and review terms over and over and over again, you should automatically know that this is very important. So let's talk about a premium. This is all about health insurance. What is a premium? A premium is the amount to an insurance agency for a health insurance policy. So every 2 weeks, I have my premium taken out of my check. $125.17 every 2 weeks is what I pay Blue Cross Blue Shield to have my insurance plan. So that is my premium. If I do not pay my premium, then my insurance will be canceled. Sort of like your car insurance, right? If you don't pay your car insurance premium, guess what? You're not going to have insurance. So health insurance and car insurance have some similarities. A deductible is the amount that must be paid by the patient before the insurance agency will begin to make payments. For example, I have to pay $2,000 a year, or I have to pay $2,000 as a deductible before my insurance will come in and start paying. So I'm going to give an example for my car insurance. My windshield gets busted. I have to pay $100 deductible before the insurance will fix my windshield. So the deductible is the out-of-pocket that you have to pay as the policyholder before they will start picking up charges. Co-payment is an amount paid by the patient for a certain service. Every time I go to see my primary care physician, I have to pay $25. That is my co-payment. Out of pocket is a medical bill that must be paid by the patient. So your out-of-pocket expense may be $150.25, and that comes on your EOB, which is your explanation of benefits, or your bill from your policy. Or your bill from your facility. Any questions about any of those terms? They may sound a little familiar if you have health insurance yourself. Okay, the last term I want to talk about is co-insurance. What is co-insurance? Is the percent of a medical bill that you pay. My insurance is an 80-20, which means after I meet my deductible, my insurance pays 80% and I pay 20. 20% is my co-insurance. Now, we will begin to go over these things deeper, but I just want you to be familiar with the terms. Do you guys have any questions about any of these terms? So I want to make a point. Co-payment is the amount that you pay at the doctor's office for a certain service. Co-insurance is your percentage that you pay once you meet your deductible. And I like to differentiate between those two because the word, co is in front of both of them. So you kind of, make sure that you know that there's a difference. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Now, I want to tell you, every Zoom class isn't going to be this simple and this cut and dry, but it's where we are in the module right now. It makes me excited that we're able to take it slow right now so that you guys don't get overwhelmed. Do you need help with anything? Is there anything that I can do for you? Sean, did you re-email me that essay?
I did. Did you receive it?
Well, let me look. I don't think so.
And also, well, you really answered that question. I was trying to see how do I find chapter 22.
It's at the end of that green.
I know, but I'm saying it's in the Evolve.
Yeah. Do you want me to pull up the book and show you?
Now, I have a picture of it and everything. I'm following along, but I just couldn't get to the chapter to start on it. It's like I'm trying to get caught up. As you can see, I had submitted all my modules, and I'm trying to get caught up, so I won't be falling behind. but I could not.
Girl, we haven't even started that module yet. So, but if you want to get ahead, then the chapter is that
Yeah, I
last
was
chapter.
gonna, at least try to stay on top.
Yeah,
So,
I am the same. I'm doing lesson plans right now for June. I'm ahead. If I'm not ahead, I feel behind.
yes, ma'am. That's how I do.
Yeah, Sean, for some reason, your emails are not coming through to me. We'll figure that out. Don't worry. I don't know. I checked my junk email.
I
Are
will.
you send it to Im?
I'll try it again. I will resubmit it. I will
Okay.
resend it.
I will send you an email and then make sure that you have the right one, and then you can just reply back.
Gotcha.
So that way we can get that.
Something. Yes, because I was sure that you getting it, because when I looked at my sent mail, it was like it's sent to you.
Yeah.
Oh, but
Listen,
I'll double
technology
check
can be a
again.
pain. Technology
Yeah.
can be a pain. All
So
right,
many-
well, I am going to let you guys get on with your day. Like I said, enjoy the fact that this Zoom class was short and sweet. They are not always this short and sweet.
Yes, ma'am.
Have a wonderful weekend. Do not hesitate to reach out to me if you need anything.
Will do. Thank you so much. See you later.
You.